The tower was abandoned for the next 50 years. But what do you think the tower originally looked like? Well, here are some ideas. Fortunately, Dee wrote several books that explain his understanding of astronomy, geometry, number, and optics. He boiled his whole cosmology down into this one little book called the Monas Hieroglyphica. He felt it was worthy of a king, so he dedicated it to King Maximilian II, the Holy Roman Emperor. Dee was asked to explain the meaning of the book in private audiences with Queen Elizabeth in London, and also to King Maximilian's son, Emperor Rudolf, in Prague. Unfortunately, Dee wrote the text in such a cryptic manner that for the last 4 centuries scholars have been puzzled by its meaning. Central to Dee's work is his Monas symbol, a geometrical figure which is a carefully proportioned assemblage of 4 symbols. At the top is the moon symbol, then the circle is the sun symbol, and then below that is the cross of the elements, and at the bottom are the 2 half-moons of the zodiacal sign of Aries. Dee goes to great length explaining its geometrical proportions. He concludes his book with a chart entitled, "Thus the World Was Created." It is a concise, yet cryptic, summary of his whole mathematical cosmology. As you can see down at the bottom of this chart, he boils everything down to one number, his magistral number, or master number, 252. If you can figure out why 252 is important, you can figure out the entire Monas Hieroglyphica. In studying 252 and other cryptic clues in the Monas, I discovered that Dee's mathematical cosmology was identical to that of 20th century philosopher, geometer, and architect Buckminster Fuller. Not only was I able to discern what Dee was saying about the interrelationships between geometry, number, and the physics of light, I found that Dee included in his book what I refer to as a hidden blueprint that describes the proportions, the dimensions, and even the functions of the tower. My decipherment of the Monas Hieroglyphica is rather lengthy, so I'll cut to the chase and show you what I think the tower originally looked like. On top of the 8 sturdy pillars that still can be seen today was a 2-foot-tall faux entablature that wrapped around the tower. I call it a faux entablature because it was made from wood, not marble. On top of the entablature were 8 Corinthian pilasters, or flat columns, secured to the stone and mortar with L-shaped cramp irons. Above the pilaster was another 4-foot faux entablature, and above that a dome made from stone and mortar. And way up at the top was a 6-foot finial that had a flag or a weather vane on it. The walls between the pilasters might have been painted brick red using a Renaissance technique called sgraffito, or faux painting on plaster. On the exterior tower, the pilaster section, and the dome section were all built in proportions that reflected Dee's mathematical cosmology. As you can see in this unplastered and unpainted version, the dome is fully supported by the stone and mortar cylinder beneath it. The overall plan was based on 2 tangent circles, each 24 feet in diameter, totaling 48 feet. The number 24 is a key number in the Monas Hieroglyphica, which consists of 24 theorems. I think Dee designed the tower to be an architectural Monas symbol, a grand sculpture that incorporates the mathematical, optical, and astronomical ideas of the Monas Hieroglyphica, only built out of stone and mortar. Furthermore, I think each of the 3 rooms was a camera obscura calendar room. The first floor room worked with the solar disk at sunset, as we saw through the west window. The second floor room worked with the solar disk at sunrise, through a window that doesn't exist anymore, that's above what is left of the tower. And the dome room worked with what I call as a meridiana room. It worked with the solar disk during the hours around noon. The floor of the dome room probably had markings like this, just like the base of a sundial. You can see 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, noon, 1, 2, and the various days throughout the year, where that solar disk would be. Access to the first floor room was probably via a ladder. The sockets of stair treads leading to the second floor can still be seen along the northern interior wall today, and presumably the stairs to the dome room wound up along this southern interior wall in the second floor room. The dome has long since collapsed, and all the wooden beams and the pilasters and entablatures have disappeared, and the paint and plaster is worn off, although some of the 1-inch thick plaster coating still can be seen today on some of the more protected areas of the pillars. Well, what you see in Toro Park is but the lower 2/3 of the skeleton of the original building. If the tower is the remains of a Renaissance building in America, that means it's of remarkable historical significance. But to me, it's important for another reason. It contains lessons that Dee wants to teach us about the interconnections between geometry, number, and light.